Hey guys, Pluto here once again. I am joined by my esteemed panel of guests, Red Baron and Scarra. You've probably seen that lovely face before, haven't you? Probably early this morning you were here.
Yeah, I was here a little bit this morning. We're part of the Fnatic fan club back here. Is that what we're calling ourselves?
I'm definitely a fan of Fnatic.
I thought it was the Curse fan club.
No.
Are we missing this out? No?
No.
Okay.
No, not the Curse.
Can we go back to getting rid of these mics? We started off with no mics, and we were just going to be like, hey guys, so this is the strategy of today.
Yeah, you want to talk into that? You want to get in there? You want to get in there? No? Okay.
I don't want to be that close, Pluto.
Now, talking about the game, of course that just happened. Fnatic fan club right here, or 2/3 of the Fnatic fan club. You're not counting.
Wait, why? I want to join the Fnatic fan club.
Okay, perfect.
How do I sign up? Is there a membership fee?
We'll talk about that off camera.
Okay.
So TPA versus Fnatic, Season 1 World Champions, Season 2 World Champions. Fnatic with a brand new AD carry of the past like 3 to 4 weeks in phenomenal fashion. He just seems so good. Just talked to him for a long time. Reckless, super good guy, super good player. Tell me what you think about him.
I think Reckless is definitely one of the key reasons they won the game. But honestly, I was surprised because I think Fnatic lost their laning phase both games. Straight up. Because I feel like Mistakes and Baby outplayed them in lane, but they were able to make plays outside of the actual lane that were able to end the game. Or like what happened the first game was just like Cat got huge, and so they didn't even need to make plays because Cat was enormous.
Katarina, I know she has a warm place in your heart, so that's always a good thing.
It was surprising because Mistake looked incredible, and we were talking about it, and throughout the tournament, coming into the second game, I thought the TPA was going to ban Vayne and then go with like a defensive comp, and I think that, I mean, part of it is we were talking, and Scarra, you said that all of Toys' best like defensive champions were banned. That's true, but when they play, for that late game, I don't think anyone can force a fight on TPA, like in the world almost, that they're not ready for. Like they are one of the best reactionary teams in the world because they're so mobile as a team. But if you look at the bottom lane, throughout the tournament, we've seen they're actually losing that lane. So Reckless, we haven't seen that much of him. We've seen him play Vayne, we've seen him play Ezreal. Ezreal's not necessarily the most feared of ADs, and you don't really know what Reckless is going to do, but you already know that they smashed game number 1. I know you're right, it was Katarina, it wasn't so much the Vayne. But in that bottom lane, it's kind of interesting. You look at N-Rated, and they're losing the lane. It doesn't feel like N-Rated's putting enough pressure on the other team. So Reckless is actually in a dangerous situation, that bottom lane. But once they get around to team fights, I think N-Rated comes around, and he's definitely very strong in those fights. They can play Zyra and Blitz, who both can be game-changing. They can just instantly win you the fights in and of themselves, even if you do lose the lane.
Now, I know Reckless's strategy when he talked in the interview just previously was blitz cook into Katarina and Kha'Zix's resets, have them hop and jump around the team fights. I feel like that's not a comp we've seen yet, have we?
No, definitely not a comp that we've seen before. I honestly think that comp is like that mentality is like very solo queue-ish. It's like, okay, let's go for the reset and let's win the game. Like that's just how the team fight's gonna play out. It worked out in their favor though. I really think the first game was entirely lost. The top teleport, the Cat made the play, was able to secure the kill, 1 kill, and literally it should have been the 1-for-1. But Baby took a step toward the tower and immediately corrected himself and made a step away to run toward the tri-bush. And that step toward the tower allowed Cat enough range to shumple to him, get a reset, and shumple and kill Mundo. So they got 3 kills instead of 1, and that completely stopped all pressure from the first 9 levels for TPA. And then Cat made another teleport play bottom. And it's just, I think the entire first game was because Cat just got enormous, and they made really good plays with her.
So it sounds like it was because of that reset up top, because of Graves' misstep, which is, I absolutely love the super in-depth analysis, of course, that you're able to provide. One misstep could lead pretty much to the game. It's pretty much how you're explaining it, and that's pretty phenomenal. You do pretty good, Scar.
Yeah, this is Katarina. You can't make mistakes against her.
Not at all. Not at all.
Well, the interesting thing is Katarina is one of the very few mid champions that you can come to a fight late, and that's like beneficial to you. So if you're behind, TPA were the aggressors. They were making the plays, and it was like, oh my God, they're just stomping this 4 people top, and Cat comes late, and she has the potential to make that happen.
Now we have a handful of other games either going on right now or coming up. Of course, we'll get to the most pressing, timely one right now, which is Curse EU versus CLG NA. They are in Game 3. There was a little problem with the internet. There was some pause, but we're back into that. But game 1, CLG NA's favor. Game 2, Curse EU's favor. How did you think those games went for either team?
I didn't really watch too much of game 1. I tried to position myself to the point where I could watch both games, but I get distracted a lot, and Fnatic was on a pretty devastating roll, so I put a lot of my attention toward their games. The first game, from what I saw, I think CLG started with a 9-1 lead, and were able to just close it out really easily. Very, very stompy sort of game. The second game, oh my god. So CLG's behind with Twitch, and they relieve pressure on Doublelift. Doublelift cleans up a team fight. They have, I think, Cho'Gath, Sona, and Doublelift, or Malphite, Sona, and Twitch doing Baron in front of just Patoy on Nunu. All Patoy does is he continually snowballs Twitch to lower his damage, and as Baron gets within 1,000 health, Ashe comes up, volley steals Baron, and wins the game for Curse CU. It was an unbelievable Baron steal, and they just lost within 5 minutes immediately after that.
I know that can be very debilitating, of course, to not only morale, but now you're against an enemy team with Baron, who is already a little bit ahead when you're going for a desperate Baron yourself. Now, as far as those two games, it's 1-1 right now. Game 3 is on. Curse EU coming off, I would say a little morale. Winning game 2, going into game 3 is a little bit easier than winning game 1 and losing game 2. Do you think Curse has what it takes to keep rolling there, or do you think CLG NA can come back?
I think if they understand how to shut down Doublelift, they have a chance. They have a pretty strong chance. But I saw the picks for that game, and Doublelift isn't on an AD carry that requires his team to help him that much. He's on Ezreal, one of the most mobile champions. And those are the champions that he excels the most at. Champions where he doesn't really need much of a team to help him out, where he can almost solo carry 1v5. And so like Ezreal, Vayne are the ones that he's best at. Twitch kind of needs a little bit of your team to stand in front of you, whereas the other ones like you're able to make more plays with. And I think it's really, really hard to close the Doublelift when he's playing Ezreal. So we'll have to see how hard they can shut him down in that game.
I agree. I mean, it's pretty clear. Doublelift and Chalster, they're the guys carrying CLG, and Doublelift is just insane. He's one of the best AD carries in North America. We talked about it this morning, how that's really the key for CLG. I'm kind of curious who they're matching up against. I didn't see the picks for Curse EU, because my concern would be Ezreal, the serious drop off in damage compared with Vayne later. But if you get fed on Ezreal, then it doesn't matter. So it should be a pretty interesting match. I don't really. I wish I could be watching it. I could go over it right now.
No, not quite yet. We'll keep you here for a little bit longer. Now, the other match that is coming up soon on the main stage is going to be Azubu Blaze versus Team Solo Mid. Home soil, home turf, TSM. What do you think is going to happen in that game, Scarra?
In the earlier interview that we had, Pluto, I said that TSM was arguably in the worst form I've seen since Hanover. I'm sorry about that. Alternatively, though, as an aside, I stated that they've always performed better outside the first day. The closer the day is toward the finals, the better they perform throughout the tournament. So they have the highest chance to be knocked out early in the tournament, and they play the most comfortable later in the tournament. So I think it might be a closer game than people thought, because I don't know if Azubu Blaze is as strong as I thought they were coming into this event. I looked at Flame playing top lane. It really looks like he doesn't have as much mechanical skill as Shy or Macnoon or Reaper. So I feel like that's a way you can take advantage of that team. And top lane is a very, very pivotal role for the team.
Absolutely, absolutely. Opinions?
I think it depends on a couple of things. Dyrus needs to do well in the top lane, and he's kind of been a mixed bag so far this weekend. We saw against SGS, he was actually playing Olaf against Jax, and with a little bit of jungle help, he started off 120 to 40 CS. So that's dominant play. I think Olaf, in my opinion, is the best top lane in the game right now. There's different top lanes for different situations, of course, but I think that's definitely a strong matchup for him. But he needs to be able to beat Flame, and I think part of the issue is going to be Helios. The fact that TSM, they don't group early on. They split their lanes, and Azubu Blaze, they being aggressive in the jungle. They like pushing down towers early on, and I don't know how TSM is going to be able to respond to that. So. They need pressure up in the top lane, but they need to be able to respond as a team. So that's a lot of pressure on really Reginald and Odd1 to help out the other lanes.
This is not the first time TSM has met Blaze. It's the first time they've met them with their current roster of Flame up top rather than Reaper D. But back at MLG, Summer Arena in New York, TSM got shut down pretty hard.
I think their combined record against Blaze is 0-10.
It's 9-0, I think.
Oh,
Or-
0-9?
yeah, 0-9. Yeah.
It's fairly close to that number. So from experience, they have a very hard matchup coming up. I don't want to say they're completely out yet. I still want to cheer for any NA teams remaining, both CLG NA and TSM. I feel like they have a shot, which is better than I can say if TSM played Fnatic right now, because Fnatic is looking really, really solid.
I think one of the scary things is going to be what happens in the bottom lane, because we saw earlier in the tournament they were crushed. I mean, Chaox and Xpecial, they had no laning presence at all in some of their earlier matches. You know, so it'll be interesting to see how they respond, because you know, Azubu, Blaze, they're really strong. I mean, you know, having Captain Jack and MetLife there is a really strong bot lane.
It is indeed, and just like you said, they're pretty much 0-9 or 0-10 or something like that against Blaze. Maybe they can muster up the courage and find out what they did wrong in those previous 9 games, and they can make something happen here. If any place is the time to do it, I mean, it's right now. You know, it's a big stage, IPL5, losers bracket, loser goes home. Do you think Blaze? I mean, now switching sides and going to Blaze's side, what exactly does Blaze need to do to steamroll TSM? Put it all on Captain Jack?
I think Captain Jack inherently should be winning bottom lane. I feel like he's a stronger AD carry than the Chaox. Typically, AD, like, bottom lane's split into 2 different areas. They either have an AD carry that's really good, is able to 1v2, or they have a support that's really, really good and able to 1v2. So a good example of this is that Captain Jack, Double Lift are both players that can 1v2 the other team, and the support really has to do nothing but support him, while you have Azubu Frost, Mad Life, and you have Mad Life does really good, and I feel like TSM
was
Xpecial
almost doing that earlier this weekend too.
Yeah. I feel like TSM Xpecial is also a support that tends to carry the bottom lane. The one issue is when you run into that situation where these 2 lanes clash, you have to have both players playing at a really high level to be able to see which team or which shell comes out on top. And I feel like Lustboy is insanely good. Like, he's probably the best Lulu I've ever seen playing this game. So they just have to play standard to be able to win that lane. And I don't know what Reggie's form is middle today. He didn't play too well the day before, I don't think, but he's everything I think hinges on him. So if he performs well, if they give him Karthus, he's able to farm up a storm, they can win. TSM can win. But if he plays poorly against Ambition, probably one of the best mid laners here, then Azubu Blaze should quite easily take the series.
And it's a good point that you said Lustboy is incredible on Lulu, because the matches that TSM struggled earlier on in that bottom lane, they were going up against a Lulu. So potentially want to ban out that support in the bottom lane just because Lulu's insanely strong right now.
Do you think that that Lulu play affords a ban? I mean, would you, as a player, give a ban to a support champion like Lulu? 100%?
I think if the support player is good enough on the champion, yes, definitely. I've been forced to ban Alistar versus Mad Life before. I've been forced to ban Zyra against good Zyra players, Blitzcrank against good Blitzcrank players. If your support is good enough to threaten bans, that's when you know you have a really strong support player. And Lustboy is godlike on Lulu.
Now, how so far, in y'all's opinions, is this tournament shaping up? I mean, now we've got TPA in the losers bracket. We got Fnatic moving on to the semifinals against the winner of Curse U and CLG NA. Did you predict this? Did anyone predict this kind of turnout?
I don't think anyone could have seen Fnatic upset TPA there. I would like to see the odds on that on DigiBet, to be honest. I want to see exactly.
Somebody made a killing.
Yeah, I know someone definitely made a killing there. I feel like this is one of the best tournaments of the year, and definitely the tournament that I feel like has the potential to be extremely good throughout every game of the tournament. Especially now, when we're into the last 12 teams, I think, it's almost good games every single game. So this tournament has shown nothing but brilliance so far.
Well, it's just really cool to see some of these teams coming out, because we have the best teams in the world competing. You know, some of the expected ones like TPA, Azubu Blaze, Moscow 5, but Fnatic and CLG NA. I mean, Fnatic could turn out to be the best team in Europe, at least for this weekend, and maybe go on to current stuff. CLG NA right now is the best team in North America, and CLG NA, they weren't in this tournament until about a week ago. Fnatic wasn't in this tournament until Friday when Alternate dropped out. So neither of these teams, just not that long ago weren't in these tournaments and weren't able to make it through the qualifiers. So that's insane for both of these teams to be going as far as they are, and I'm curious what's going on with that on stream number 2, twitch.tv/IPLLOL2, if you want to see. But I'm curious what's going on in that second stream.
Basically, what he's saying is, why are you watching this? Go watch that other
Right.
stream. It's a great game going on. Yeah, it's great to see you talk about CLG NA made it through the wild card qualifiers. They Dignitas, right?
You could say it, Pluto.
Okay, they beat Dignitas.
Honestly, I
to get
think
here.
Dignitas would be, right up there on that same level almost.
I think right now we're okay. Like, we're not bad, but we have a little bit of work to do to be able to close out games. I think that we've realized that our greatest problem is closing out games and communication right now, and which is why we lost to CLG 2-1.
Well, I remember the wild card, you guys were actually ahead in those games. You were able to bully them around early on, but then you did fall behind, and a lot of it had to do with double lift is just insane on Vayne, and he's able to carry those late games.
He's one of the few AD carries which can carry a full team on his back. Like, he is insanely good at this game. I know he talks a lot of smack sometimes, but he typically walks the walk when it comes to that.
Now, as I was saying, CLG NA wasn't supposed to be here. They got the votes, they got the wild card over Dignitas, and then Fnatic not supposed to be here. Alternate dropped out due to some complications, and now they're here, and now they're beating the Season 2 world champions, and now they're beating Azubu Blaze in the group stages. Like, they're just absolutely on fire. I mean, is this the kind of story that you really want to see from a big tournament? Do you want to see that underdog? I mean, this is clearly
Are you serious?
the crazy thing.
Is this
is exactly it. I mean,
Is
that's
this
what
a
I'm
joke?
saying.
Do you want to see the underdogs win? Of course you do.
Of course.
That's what it's about. Like, all these teams, the Korean teams, they were nothing a year ago. No one knew anything about them. They didn't exist. The beginning of OGN, I remember everyone was talking about, yeah, they have some good team coordination stuff, but they just aren't good enough mechanically or on individual skill levels. And that was what the story was. So, that's what happens. Teams rise and teams fall.
I think the storylines in this tournament are insane. We have a really reoccurring theme in the last couple tournaments where it's like, man, Asia has come over and just dominated the NA scene. And it's like, is that going to be what it is? Is it going to turn into like more of a StarCraft-centric tier where like the Korean tier is so far above the other countries that no one can take a game? And this tournament has proved that no, that's not true. It seems like Europe has some life in it after all, and hopefully NA does as well. So definitely the games remaining are all going to be really, really exciting for me.
I'm glad you brought up the kind of StarCraft 2 Korean tier. Like, people regard them as the best StarCraft 2 players in the world, and not just regard them, they, for the most part, are, I know as a North American player, that's really not what you want to see. You wish your North American scene was up there, but do you think that, what does the North American team need to do to get there? What do you need to do to climb that ladder to get to the next stratosphere? What do you need to do to get to the Korean tier or now the Fnatic European tier?
It's just all about dedication. And then Asians have shown that they're extremely dedicated to the game. They literally will put off everything for it. And that level of dedication has just not happened in NA yet. And I'm hoping that coming into Season 3, we'll have a huge reason to be dedicated. And yeah, I'm very optimistic about the future.
Wonderful.
I think personally, if you look at a lot of the top NA teams and like some of the older top NA teams, if you gave them an even gold situation with most of the foreigner teams 20 minutes in, 25 minutes in, then it's a toss-up almost. I mean, these teams, they're all strong enough to win these team fights. Mechanically, for the most part, it's there. There are some players that are just astounding. But really where people were falling behind is it's the early team play. And when you look at the NA scene, you're talking about, who's the best player on this team? Who's the best player on, TSM at this moment? Who's the best player on CLG? You look at the foreign teams, and you're like, okay, well, what are they doing as a whole, as a team? You don't see the same level of mobility in most of the NA teams as you do with TPA and Azubu Blaze. You don't see the same level of, counter jungling and like the mid jungle interactions like you do with Moscow 5 and Outsich and Diamond Prox, or warding in the top lane. But a lot of NA teams, they'll ward by river, but they kind of leave the top lane on its island, and they just kind of sit in their lanes. So it's dedication to figure out how to win their lanes and like play any number of champions. Like a lot of NA players only have 1 or 2 champions, but it's a team thing. They need to, figure out how to move around as a team and win those early exchanges.
We will see how everything shapes up. This is obviously, like we're saying, has been an amazing tournament so far. I mean, this is what we wanted. We didn't want to come in and have just a whitewash, oh, TPA Season 2 World Champions, they're just going to sweep everything. They're in the losers bracket now. Fnatic moving on to the semifinals. CLG NA could meet them in the semifinals. This has been an absolutely exciting weekend so far, and we have 2 more days left. This is only the second day. Stick around till Sunday. But in the meantime, we do have TSM versus Azubu Blaze coming up on the main stage here at IPL5 at the Cosmopolitan in beautiful Las Vegas. So stick around for some more great League of Legends action.